What's up, y'all? It's Marcus. So guys, I finally got my hands on the Fuji GFX. The GFX medium format 50R is the one that I'm talking about, the one that I have. And in today's video, we're gonna go behind the scenes and look at this real world photo shoot that I did with my friend Lola. It's like an editorial fashion style shoot, and I used the 110 f2 and the 45 2.8. Those are the only two lenses that I have. So this is gonna be a two-part video. And the next video in a couple of days, I'm gonna compare these files with the same shots on the equivalent on the full frame EOS R with the 35 and the 85 RF. You can see how those files turned out, but today it's all about my review of the 50R and the GFX lenses. So let's get into this. And all the shots that you see today are going to be edited with my Lightroom presets and Photoshop actions, and you can find them at prophotoedits.com. I want to see if I can get this onto you somehow. Stand against that and see if will it make a line. So as we watch some of this behind the scenes, I'm going to talk you through some of these shots. I wanted to do something that was more editorial, but something a little bit different for me. Is a little bit of harsh light, deep shadows and stuff like that. So when we were on top of this parking deck, it was about 6:37 and the light was coming down, so it was a little bit softer. But there was a window here on this stairwell that was kind of diffusing the light just a touch. So I wanted to line her up with some of the hard lines and get some of the shadows on top of her head, and I wanted to frame it like that. And I'll show you some of the shots that I got. Now switching it up to the 45mm wide open at 2.8. So stick around to the end of this video like we always do. We'll hop into Lightroom. I'll let you look at some of the files and I'll give you my full thoughts on the GFX and the lenses and everything, just the whole medium format experience. But I want to give you some behind the scenes. Right now I have the 110 and I'm trying to get the leading lines and kind of just odd framing between the bars on the stair rail right there, so I can frame and do something different. And I'm making sure she has her nose to light, same hard light coming through the window there. So right now she has her nose to the light, and that'll kill the shadow from her nose on the other side of her face. And I kind of make it kind of dramatic here, as you can see in these photos. Alright, so making our way to the other side of the parking deck, we found these no parking signs, and they had a cool little yellow. It was a pop of color, and I wanted to try to frame some of this with the 45 and just see how it would keep the blues in the backgrounds and how it rendered colors, and also depth of field at 2.8. So I'll show you a couple of the shots that we got right here. So you can see that the 45mm has 45 compression, but the 2.8 almost looks like an f2 equivalent on a full frame, and the colors are just incredible. So I want to show you my favorite shot of the day and how we got it, and how you can use harsh light and use reflectors in a funky way here to try to get something really creative. So I'm simply having her mother hold the reflector until I can get a shadow on half of her face, blocking the light. So I'll show you how we do this. Okay, when you move this, it's going to create the shadow on her face, and that's what we're going to use, half and half. Okay, right there you go. Okay, Lola, kind of look up at me a touch, and I'll move this over just a touch. Right there. Okay. So you can just see the colors in this file. This is just amazing to me. The light fall off. It could be harsh light, but this thing doesn't render it as harsh light to me. It just looks like the highlights are really well controlled. The dynamic range goes on for days. I'm gonna give you a couple more images here and shoot it with the 48 right here. We just wanted to get some kind of looking down on the city in the background here, and this is with the 45 2.8, so it's more like a 35 f2 on a full frame. The colors are really incredible here. Now I'll run through some more of the files with the 45 2.8 right here, and then some more with the 110. This is just some more of my favorite images of the day that I've taken right here. This is all natural light. We had the reflector, but I was mainly using it as a creative tool to block light. No reflection, just natural light towards the end of the day. Alright guys, so let's hop into Lightroom and take a look at some of these GFX 50 files. I just want to show you how amazing they are. This is with the 110 f2 wide open right here, and just zoom in here, and you're probably not going to be able to see this as well on YouTube, but look at that. That's incredible. The definition, this there, is super sharp, and the focusing worked really well on there, but the eyes are super sharp. The fall off is really beautiful, and it has a f2 as far as less in light, it's an f2, but you know, on a medium format camera, it looks more like a 1.4, and with the 110 compression and like an 88 or 89 millimeter field of view. So it's just a totally different look. Just look how epic that is with the actual light, and that's with the preset on one of my presets. So I just take it off. I mean, look at that raw file. That's crazy. I mean, usually raw files are muted. They don't have, you know, just too much going on in terms of color, and this raw file was just stunning. I mean, we had some really great light at the end of the day there. I mean, but you can get great light, you know, on any shoot towards the end of the day. You can see that she's kind of looking off into the sun. You can tell where the shadows are falling on the side of her nose right there. It's just a natural light shot. So I use my editorial presets to give it more of a muted editorial vibe, since we're going to submit for some of these magazines. But it's really, really epic. Now that's the 110, and we'll run through some more of these files real quick. So this is the 45 2.8, wide open at 2.8, which is 35 millimeter equivalent field of view. Less in the light of a 2.8, but it kind of pretty much looks like a, you know, an f2 would on medium format. So you get a more flattering compression of a 45 versus, you know, a 35 on full frame. And then you have the 35 field of view, so you get a lot in the background with more of compression. And the 2.8, less than 2.8 as far as like the lighting at less in the t-stop, but the f-stop is equivalent on a medium format to like a f2, pretty much is what I found. But let's zoom in here on this file, and you can kind of see super sharp, very accurate. The camera is kind of slow, as we went over already, but just the pictures coming out of camera, and that's what my preset on there. So let's turn it off. I mean, look at those colors for a raw file. That's crazy. The blues are blue. You can see like 8 different skin tones in her skin, which if you tune into my video in a few days, I have it compared to the EOS R, and then over the coming weeks I'll compare it to my R5 when it gets here. But I can already tell you that the colors on here are just epic. I mean, that doesn't really look like a raw file, and I'll put my preset back on there just to give it the editorial vibe. It's just been a pure joy to shoot with, and just the overall aesthetics of the image, it just looks like an ad. Of course, the way I shot it helps, but I guess we're used to seeing the medium format in high fashion ads. Maybe, I guess that's why it's making me feel like that. Maybe it's just me being weird, but it does kind of lend itself to more of a high fashion type of look, in my opinion. So here's the shot that you saw me take earlier, where we were holding the reflector pretty much to just block the light, just to give us something different. I wanted to do shadows halfway down her face, but just look. Eyes incredibly in focus. You can see all the pores on the skin here, and she has incredible skin. So I wanted to leave it for, you know, running this as like an ad campaign for somebody. I wanted to kind of leave this, you know, I don't want to Photoshop all my stuff crazy. It just looks ridiculous on medium format. You buy it for photos that just need to look like an ad. In my opinion, you can buy it for whatever you want, but that's why I bought it. So here's one wide open a little bit further back, 110 to f2, and just look how beautiful that is. This shoulder already gone and soft and pretty. The color is there at f2. It's crazy how much color is there at f2. The eye, I mean, it's not gonna let me go any further than that, but sharp, super sharp. This side's already fallen off. The background is just so diffuse and beautiful, but you still have enough on each side like you wouldn't have on full frame. Look at the 3D pop here at the 110 f2. That's crazy to me. The eyes are super sharp. You can see all the detail in the skin right there, but it's not abrasive. Nice fall off. Colors are so rich. It almost looks like, you know, her face is popping out of the photo. It's really cool. Shoulders gone back there. So here's a close file at f2 wide open, and you can kind of see that this does not look like an f2. Look, the cheeks are already having to fall off. The ears are gone. The nose is gone. This isn't quite minimum. You can get it closer than that. Why you'd want to? I guess it's not really like macro lens or anything like that, but you can get some, you know, just experiment if you want to and get closer and get a little bit higher up on your angle. But that definitely does not look like an f2 lens to me. You know what I mean? And the compression is definitely a 110. You can see that everything looks a little bit wider. So let me give you my final thoughts on owning the GFX for a couple weeks now and on my first real shoot with it. It's not for anybody who needs to shoot fast subjects. I mean, I shot along with my EOS R, which I'm upgrading to the R5 for video and stills. I'm not switching fully over to medium format, but for a lot of print ads and stuff like that, this is just an epic camera. And I don't need any more full frame cameras. I just don't need that look anymore. I already have it. So if I had the money, I'd definitely get the 100 because I could actually use the eye autofocus. The eye autofocus on the GFX 50R, and that's just, I mean, you might as well just throw it out the window. It's not really usable. But I don't mind working like that because it allows me to keep my focus point right dead center where I always want my composition to be anyway. There's a lot of perks to this camera. The dynamic range is crazy. The Fuji glass is unlike anything I've ever shot before, and I know I hyped up the RF glass, which is still amazing, and I bet you if I could put the RF glass on this sensor, it would just be out of this world as well. We'll see what the R5 sensor looks like, but I can guarantee you that it's not going to be like the Fuji sensor. It's really something from another planet. But I just bought it because I needed something that was a little bit different of a look. I shoot all my video on full frame. I shoot all my a lot of like important client work on full frame, and I wanted to have something that's just a little bit different flavor of ice cream, and I'm very happy with it. So subscribe. I love you guys. I'll see you next week. Join me for the EOS R versus the Fuji GFX next week. Love you guys. It's Marcus.